Sir, did you also lose your family? The question was so soft that John almost thought he imagined it, but then he felt it again. A tiny tug on the sleeve of his suit. Gentle, hesitant, almost trembling. He turned. Standing in front of him was a little girl in a bright red coat, blonde curls framing her cheeks, red mittens dangling from strings, and a fox-shaped backpack resting against her shoulders. She couldn't have been more than 5, but her eyes carried a heaviness no child should ever know. "Did you," she whispered again, "did you also lose your family? You looked like someone who did." Right there, in the middle of the airport terminal, surrounded by rushing travelers, boarding calls, holiday decorations, and noise, John Hayes felt his soul stop, because the truth was simple and devastating. Yes, he had, and he had spent 2 long years pretending he hadn't. But this child, this tiny stranger, saw right through him in seconds, and what she was about to reveal and what he was about to do would change both of their lives forever. John Hayes never planned to talk to anyone that day. He barely planned to be awake. December had arrived again, the month he hated most, the month when the world glowed with lights and joy, and he felt like a shadow walking through someone else's celebration. 2 years earlier, his daughter Amelia had passed away unexpectedly. One day she was laughing, telling stories, drawing pictures on the kitchen table, and the next she was gone. A freak accident, a drunk driver running a red light, a moment that erased everything. His wife Sarah hadn't survived the grief. Not physically, she was still alive, technically, but emotionally, she had become a ghost. Within 6 months, she had packed her things, left a note on the kitchen counter, and disappeared into her sister's house 3 states away. The note said, "I can't be in this house. I can't be this person. I'm sorry." No explanation, no closure, no forwarding address for his heart. John's world collapsed quietly, not with screams, not with melodrama, just stillness, a stillness that swallowed his house, his days, his nights, his holidays, and now his heart. People told him time would heal him, but time did nothing. It only created distance between who he used to be and who he had become. A man who moved through life without living it, who spoke without saying anything, who smiled without feeling it. His co-workers noticed. His neighbors whispered. His brother called once a week and got the same hollow responses. "I'm fine, just busy. I'll call you back." But he never did. So he worked, ate when he remembered, slept when exhaustion finally forced him, and pretended he was okay. This year the weight felt heavier, the silence inside his home sharper. He couldn't bear the glow of Christmas lights, the sound of carols, the empty chair at the table. Amelia's room remained untouched, her drawings still taped to the walls, her stuffed animals arranged exactly as she left them, her little shoes by the door. He couldn't enter it anymore. He couldn't even walk past it without his chest tightening. So he booked a flight, not to visit anyone, not to celebrate anything, but simply to escape. A colleague had mentioned a quiet cabin in Montana once. John didn't care about Montana. He just needed to be somewhere that wasn't here, which is why he sat alone at gate 47, shoulders bent, eyes down, ticket in hand, wishing the world around him would turn down its brightness. He never expected a child to approach him. He hadn't been near one since Amelia's funeral, but then soft fingers tugged his sleeve. Slowly he looked up, and there she was, the little girl with the fox backpack. Her voice was fragile, but her eyes were steady. "Sir, did you also lose your family?" John's throat tightened. He should have said something appropriate, something gentle, something careful. Instead, all he could manage was a quiet, "Why do you ask, sweetheart?" She shifted her little gloves nervously, because people who stare at the floor like that, they're usually missing someone. John felt the air leave his lungs. "How do you know that?" he asked softly. She swallowed. "I lost someone too, my daddy. Mommy cries a lot, so I know what sad people look like." There it was, raw, honest, undeniably true. John closed his eyes for a moment, steadying himself. "What's your name?" he finally asked, voice trembling despite him. "Anne." She climbed into the seat beside him like she had the right to be there, like she belonged there, like she already trusted him. "Are you waiting for your mum?" John asked. Anne nodded. "She told me to sit right over there and not move. But then you looked lonely, so I came." John almost laughed through the ache in his chest. A child, a stranger, worried about him. "That was very kind of you," he whispered. Anne tilted her head, studying him carefully. "You look like my daddy a little bit. He had sad eyes too, but then he would smile at me and they got happy again." John's hands trembled in his lap. "What happened to your daddy, Anne?" She looked down at her fox backpack, running her small fingers over its embroidered eyes. "He got really sick. The doctors tried to make him better, but they couldn't. Mommy said he's with the angels now, but I miss him every day." Her voice didn't waver. It was the voice of a child who had already learned to carry grief like an old coat. Familiar, uncomfortable, but always there. "I'm so sorry," John said, and he meant it with every fiber of his being. "It's okay," Anne said softly. "Mommy says it's okay to be sad. She says Daddy would want us to be happy, but it's hard sometimes." John nodded. He understood that better than anyone. 5 minutes passed, then 10. Anne talked about kindergarten, about her mittens, about how her dad used to swing her in the air when she was tiny. She told him about her teacher, Miss Daniels, who let her draw whenever she felt sad. She told him about her best friend Emma, who shared her crayons. She told him about her favorite book, a story about a brave little fox who went on adventures. John listened, and for the first time in years, listening didn't hurt. It eased something inside him. Anne reminded him of Amelia, not in appearance but in spirit, that same brightness, that same honesty, that same ability to see the world with wonder despite the darkness. But then 15 minutes passed, then 20. Passengers boarded planes. Security officers passed by. Announcements echoed overhead, but Anne's mom still didn't come back. John's pulse quickened. "Anne, sweetheart, how long has your mom been gone?" Anne looked down at her boots. "A long time, I think." He scanned the terminal. No frantic mother, no woman searching, no one calling Anne's name. He felt a protective instinct, an instinct he thought he had lost forever, rise inside him. The world had taken his daughter. He wouldn't let it take this child too. "It's okay," he said gently. "We're going to figure this out together. Can you tell me your mum's name?" "Samantha. Samantha Miller." "Good. And do you remember where she said she was going?" Anne's face scrunched in concentration. She said she needed to find a bathroom. She didn't feel good. Her face looked really white. John's concern deepened. "Did she say anything else?" "She told me to stay right in that chair and not move, and to hold my backpack tight, but..." Anne's lower lip trembled. "But you looked so sad, and I thought maybe if I talked to you, you wouldn't be sad anymore. And maybe I wouldn't be sad either." John felt tears sting his eyes. "You did the right thing, Anne. You're a very brave girl." "I'm not scared," she whispered. "You're here." That broke him completely. John found an airport attendant immediately, a young woman with kind eyes and a name tag that read Maria. "Excuse me," he said, keeping his voice calm for Anne's sake. "This little girl has been separated from her mother for over 20 minutes. Her name is Anne Miller. Her mother is Samantha Miller." Maria's expression shifted to professional concern instantly. "Okay, let's get security involved right away." Within minutes, 2 airport security officers arrived. They knelt beside Anne, speaking in soft, gentle tones. "Hi, Anne. I'm Officer Chen. Can you tell me what your mommy looks like?" Anne described her mother, brown hair in a ponytail, blue coat, glasses, carrying a black purse. Officer Chen spoke into his radio while his partner, Officer Davis, made notes. Announcements began calling for Samantha Miller. "Samantha Miller, please return to Gate 47. Your daughter Anne is waiting for you at Gate 47. The message repeated every few minutes. Passengers turned, curious, some concerned. A few took out their phones, recording, because even in moments of crisis, the world documented everything. But no one came. Anne held tightly to John's hand the whole time. "Please don't leave me," she begged softly. "You remind me of Daddy." John felt his heart shatter and rebuild in the same breath. "You're safe," he promised. "No, I'm not going anywhere." He looked at Officer Chen. "I'll stay with her until her mother is found." Officer Chen nodded gratefully. "We appreciate that, sir. We're checking all the restrooms, medical stations, and nearby gates. We'll find her mother." But 25 minutes became 30. Anne grew quieter. Her small hand gripped John's tighter. "What if Mommy got lost?" she whispered. "She didn't get lost," John assured her. Your mom knows exactly where you are. Sometimes grown-ups just need a little extra time. The important thing is that you're safe." Anne nodded, but her eyes glistened with unshed tears. John did something he hadn't done in 2 years. Something that felt both foreign and achingly familiar. He reached into his carry-on bag and pulled out a small notebook and pen. "Hey, Anne, want to draw with me while we wait?" Her face brightened slightly. Really? What should we draw?" "A fox," she said immediately, "like my backpack." So they drew John's hands, which had forgotten how to create anything but spreadsheets and reports, slowly remembered how to sketch. He drew a simple fox. Anne drew a sun and clouds and flowers, and for those few minutes, the anxiety faded. After nearly 35 minutes, someone screamed, "Anne!" A woman stumbled into view, running, crying, coat half zipped, panic twisting her face. But Anne didn't run to her. She froze. Her mother looked unwell, pale, dizzy, terrified. She fell to her knees, scooping Anne into her arms. "I fainted. I'm so sorry. I thought I was near Gate 32. I couldn't find you. Anne, I'm so sorry." She rocked back and forth, clutching her daughter like the world had almost ended. Anne clung to her. "It's okay, Mommy. Mr. John stayed with me." John stepped back out of respect. But Samantha looked up, eyes red and brimming. Medical personnel arrived with a wheelchair. "Mom, we need to check your vitals," one of them said gently. Samantha waved them off. "I'm fine. I haven't eaten today. I've been so stressed." "Ma'am, you fainted. We need to make sure you're okay." Reluctantly, Samantha allowed them to help her into the wheelchair. She kept one arm wrapped around Anne, then she looked at John again. "Were you with her this whole time?" she asked. "Yes," John said quietly. "She wasn't alone." Samantha burst into tears. "You don't know what that means," she whispered. "After losing her father, she's all I have left. If something had happened to her..." Her voice broke. John knelt down so he was at eye level. "Nothing happened to her. She's safe, she's strong, and she's right here. Samantha nodded, wiping her eyes. Thank you. I don't even know your name. John Hayes. She extended a trembling hand. Samantha Miller. Thank you, John. He shook her hand gently. Officer Chen approached. Mrs. Miller, we're going to take you to the medical station to get checked out, just as a precaution. Samantha nodded. Anne looked at John with wide, worried eyes. Are you leaving now? John hesitated. He looked at his watch. His flight had already boarded. The gate was closed. He'd missed it entirely, and strangely he didn't care. I have some time, he said softly. Would it be okay if I walked with you? Anne's face lit up. Yes, Samantha smiled through her tears. We'd appreciate that. At the medical station, Samantha was given water, crackers, and a thorough examination. Her blood pressure was low, her blood sugar dangerously depleted. The attending nurse, a woman named Linda with silver hair and a no-nonsense demeanor, gave Samantha a stern but compassionate look. When was the last time you ate a full meal? Samantha looked away. Yesterday morning, I think. And when did you last sleep more than 4 hours? Silence. Linda sighed. Mrs. Miller, you're running on empty. Your body gave out because you're not taking care of yourself. Samantha's eyes filled with tears again. I know. It's been so hard. Between work and Anne and trying to keep everything together after my husband died. She trailed off, staring at her hands. Anne sat beside John on a nearby chair, swinging her legs and coloring on a piece of paper the nurse had given her. John leaned forward slightly. Mrs. Miller, may I ask, are you here alone? Is there anyone who can help you? Samantha shook her head. My family lives on the other side of the country. That's where we were headed, to spend the holidays with my parents. But I've been doing this alone for 8 months now, and I thought I could handle it. But clearly, she gestured helplessly at the medical equipment around her. Clearly I can't. John felt something stir inside him. Something he thought had died with Amelia. Purpose. Do you have anyone picking you up when you land? He asked. My dad. But I don't want to worry him. He's already been through so much. John nodded slowly. Mrs. Miller, Samantha, I don't mean to overstep, but would it be okay if I stayed with you until your flight, just to make sure you're okay? Samantha blinked in surprise. You don't have to do that. You've already done so much. I want to, John said simply, and he meant it, because for the first time in 2 years he felt like he had a reason to be present. Anne looked up from her drawing. Please stay, Mr. John. You make Mommy smile. Samantha laughed softly, wiping her eyes. She's right, you do. John smiled, a real smile. Then I'll stay. The medical staff cleared Samantha after an hour. She was given strict instructions to eat, rest, and not push herself. Her flight had been delayed due to weather, which, in this case, felt like a blessing. They walked together to a quiet cafe near her gate. John ordered food for all of them. Sandwiches, soup, fruit, hot chocolate for Anne. As they ate, they talked. Samantha told him about her late husband, David, a high school history teacher who loved terrible puns and made the best pancakes. She told him about the cancer diagnosis that came out of nowhere, about the treatments that didn't work, about the final weeks in hospice, holding his hand, promising to take care of Anne. John listened, and then, slowly, he told her about Amelia, about her laugh that sounded like bells, about her obsession with dinosaurs and space, about the accident that stole her away, about Sarah leaving, about the years of silence. Samantha reached across the table and squeezed his hand. I'm so sorry, John, he nodded. Me too. Anne, oblivious to the weight of the conversation, happily drank her hot chocolate and colored in a new picture, this time of 3 people holding hands. She slid it across the table to John. "This is you, me, and Mommy," she announced proudly. John stared at the drawing, and for the second time that day, tears filled his eyes. Samantha smiled gently. "You've been so kind to us, John. I don't know how to thank you." John looked at her, really looked at her, and saw the same exhaustion, the same grief, the same determination to keep going that he carried every day. "You don't have to thank me," he said quietly. "You reminded me of something I forgot." "What's that?" "That I'm still here, that I'm still capable of caring, that maybe I don't have to run away anymore." The final boarding call for Samantha's flight echoed overhead. She stood, gathering their things. Anne took John's hand one more time. "Will I ever see you again?" she asked. John knelt down. "I hope so, Anne." Samantha hesitated. Then she pulled out her phone. "John, if you're comfortable, could we exchange numbers? Anne really connected with you, and honestly, so did I. I think we could both use a friend." John felt warmth spread through his chest, a warmth he hadn't felt in years. "I'd like that," he said. They exchanged numbers, and as Samantha and Anne walked toward their gate, Anne turned back one last time and waved. John waved back, and as he stood there in the middle of the bustling airport, surrounded by strangers, holiday music, and the hum of life continuing around him, John Hayes realized something profound. He wasn't running anymore. He was finally walking toward life again. Sometimes healing begins with a tiny voice asking, "Sir, did you also lose your family?" And sometimes the answer changes everything. John stood outside a small house in Vermont, a bouquet of flowers in one hand and a wrapped present in the other. He'd been texting with Samantha regularly since that day at the airport. First, just checking in, then longer conversations, stories, memories, hopes. Anne had sent him drawings every week, foxes and suns and families holding hands. And today, Samantha had invited him to visit. The door opened. Anne's face lit up like fireworks. "Mr. John!" She launched herself at him, and he caught her, laughing, genuinely laughing, for the first time in years. Samantha appeared in the doorway, smiling warmly. "Welcome, John." He stepped inside, and for the first time since he lost Amelia, John Hayes felt something he thought he'd never feel again: home. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe for more emotional stories of kindness, loss, and unexpected second chances. And tell us in the comments, have you ever met a stranger who changed your life?